Hi, this is Augur. There is a problem that I see in the industry today, and it severely bothers me. Take a game, any AAA game, and chances are you've played the same game before. If it's not a sequel, it is reusing and recycling from other games. For example, Ubisoft have their experiences with making open world games, and they've created a formula out of it. Now it's getting harder and harder to tell their games apart. A great thing happened with the launch of the PlayStation 3. Most of Sony's first party created new intellectual properties, forsaking their cartoony predecessors. And props to Sony for not limiting their developers and allowing them to go into unsafe and risky directions. Now, that being said, I do not consider No Man's Sky to be a Sony game. I think Sony saw an opportunity to profit with No Man's Sky, either financially or with goodwill from gamers, and they got what they wanted out of it. No Man's Sky, I consider it to be a modern independent game, and I treat it like any other modern independent game. I played it on PC a while ago, so the gameplay might be pretty old. The beauty of modern independent games is that they are like very old PC games, classic PC games. They are simple. No Man's Sky is no exception. There is a galaxy, and there are stars in the galaxy, and there are planets in the galaxy, and your objective is to get to the center of the galaxy. Either every time you start at a random planet, and you work your way, jumping from planet to planet, discovering new aliens, their languages, new ships, new technologies, all the while collecting fuels and resources. Uh, this is the gist of the original game. I will not be talking about the Foundation update as I have not played it. Let me say one thing very clearly. There is no game like No Man's Sky. It is a very unique, ambitious, and it blows away the prejudice that independent developers just make nostalgic Nintendo-like games. You could say that the classic PC games were all independent games, thus they were able to shape the industry into what it is today. I am very fond of modern indie scene because I do believe that these new independent games will save the gaming industry from repetitive, redundant formulas that AAAs have become. Don't believe me? Minecraft, Faster Than Light, FTL, Bastion, Limbo, Legends of Grimrock, Don't Starve, Gone Home, Starbound, what was the brawler? Guacamelee, Daisy, Journey, Pillars of Eternity, and that's just the top of my head. I can keep going all day. Like with any game, I have my likes and dislikes about No Man's Sky. Being part of the monster race, my obvious dislike is the cheap graphics, the floaty controls, and the atrocious field of view. What I like about the game is that despite these fundamental flaws, I find myself getting lost in it for hours at a time. It's crazy to the point that I've only ever played the game on Saturdays because I didn't want it to interfere with my life. If you would ask me what's the greatest game in the world, my answer would be the one that hasn't been made yet. As an example, consider Star Citizen, the most well-funded Kickstarter game ever. It has quite literally promised us the moon, the sun, the stars, everything in between and everything beyond that. Think of it like this. If Star Citizen is the greatest and the biggest and the most delicious cake ever being made, No Man's Sky was a cupcake. Both yummy and delicious if you like cake. Now let's get to the controversy. The false marketing. Uh, of the millions of gamers in the world, I will admit that I am the worst person to talk about this, but I hope to give my perspective so that the the barrage of hate that is befalling No Man's Sky might lessen. Now, before making my case, let me hurt it a bit. Let me put out a disclaimer. I like this game, and I never actually heard anything from the big fat mouth that is Sony and Sean Murray that I could consider false marketing. Hence, well, let me make it clear. I heard nothing. I didn't see the interviews and the coverage. All I'm interested in, all I've ever been interested in, are the games and the games alone. Let me elaborate on that. Growing up, I didn't have the internet. If I had money to buy a game, I would go to the computer store, check out their shelves for new releases, pick up the title that I like. I would consider the artwork. I would read the back of the box to see what kind of shitty 90s graphics it had. And if I was not interested in it, I would just simply put it back on the shelf and be done with it. Because of that, I got ripped off many, many, many times. Quite often, I would buy a PC game on a CD, and it would turn out to be a port from a gaming console that's like a few megabytes, not the 600 megabytes that the CD would allow. Thanks to these horrible experiences like that, and just by being an experienced gamer, now if there's a game that say tickles my fancy, I see the gameplay and I can read through the bullcrap and know what the game really is about. And and I promise I'm not trying to show off my super duper unnatural mutant ability to judge a game by the cover, if you will. Of course, there are many unexperienced and young gamers that need those interviews and needs publishers and developers to put their mind at ease. If they're going to be dishing out their hard-earned $60, they need that. What I'm talking about is that not everything needs to become the butt of a hateful comment. There is a trend that I am seeing today that any game that social media decides is a target gets a constant hate barrage on news, comments, videos, and every podcast that every idiot has in the universe. Let me give you a big example. Back in the Xbox 360 days, Call of Duty was the holiest of wholeness. I mean, it was big. It was probably second to World of Warcraft. So when Infinite Warfare trailer dropped and the whole world went into darkness, like North became South, we lost unlimited mobile internet, Microsoft devices became a thing, Trump became the president. Forget the BF1 beating the crap out of COD memes and the media jokes. Just consider the like to dislike ratio that the launch trailer had. If you would have said anything bad about Call of Duty back in its prime, being swatted would have been the least of your problems. Now let me jump back to the point. Did it hurt COD sales? Possibly, maybe by a small number. Did COD fans hated it? No, no. Was it a bad game? Definitely not. I have several of my friends. They play it almost every day. So no, Infinite Warfare is an amazing game. It's like in a ghetto high school. Like you find one day that the vast majority of the people find it cool to pick on the student, and I detest that idea. Best way to support a game is to buy it. Best way to hate a game is to not buy it. I am all for constructive criticism, but what's happening nowadays are just these weird crusades against whatever is the target today. Sadly, I am ashamed to say that I am also a culprit of that. If I hate something, I am very loud and unspecific about it. But sometimes, we need to see our ugliness in others to make ourselves pretty again. Finally, I will close with my advice for the people who buy games on the words of publishers and developers and feel ripped off. I was gonna make a get used to it joke, but I realized it wasn't going to be funny. My real advice is that pay attention. Don't be a fanboy. Just because your car is a Toyota Corolla doesn't mean you can't get stranded in the middle of nowhere. AAA games will become more and more formalized and synthetic, and indie games will become more and more big budget. And both these changes will bring new problems with it. The best way to judge a game is just to go online and watch gameplays. Gameplay walkthroughs, let's play, it's a thing now. It's not just a thing, it's a profession. There are people who don't want to save the world. They don't want to be firemen, they don't want to be engineers, they don't want to be doctors. They just want to play games all day and make money by doing so. Use them. You should use them. Make them contribute to society by helping you not get ripped off. If you find them as annoying as me, just mute them. And what you'll have is gameplay in its purest state. No lies, no marketing exaggeration, just the game being played. And yes, it would mean you not buying the game at launch, and that actually is good because you'll save money by buying the game at a later date, and game makers might decide that pre-order bonuses are not needed anymore. So it's like killing two birds with one stone. The only thing that makes or breaks a game is whether it's fun or not. If you don't like the Let's Play video, you're not gonna like the game. And by the way, I bought No Man's Sky on sale for $40 way after launch because I thought it wasn't worth $60. Every game becomes cheaper if you wait a bit. Well, that's all the Steam I had. Once again, if you like a game, buy it. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Each one of us is born unique and have different opinions, likes and dislikes. It is the only thing that's keeping us from being boring